Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Indira Ghosh from JNU. Today we are going to talk on module Introduction to Omics under the paper Computational Biology. Omics is a concept which has been started in early 2000 and floating with many types of omics. Our learning objectives today will be that we should think rationally about the disease, main reason of understanding of disease, then use all these omics or understand what are these omics and how the data has been, then connect them, then we search and analyze them, the answers, so that we build upon our living systems, built upon all faculties, all facilities, okay, the information, and come out with a full cellular level, tissue level, physiology level, how to combat the disease. That's our objective. Why? You know, the picture tells you why, because mostly in zoology book or biobotany book, you will open, you see something like this used to be. However, because of the change of technology, bioinformatics and a whole lot of subject and IT aid, now when you see a paper is shown here, which is called the Genomics to Proteomics, and Nature paper, which shows you some picture which looks like that. What it is? It is depicting the most of the controls inside a genome, connected genes and proteins by many connectivity. Physically, they may not be even related to each other, and they may be temporally and spatially may be different. However, this is what it is. So the world has changed from zoology or botany or life science to mathematics. So biosystems are represented in mathematically. Hence, we need to learn how to divulge this information and find the relation with functions for remedial of disease. We are talking about how the complexity of living system are organized, and it's been very schematically shown in this picture, which is published papers few years back. And what it shows is the most often, if we look at the lowest bottom line, and that is the slab where information storage, processing, etc. are done, and execution and conversions is done. And that continuously goes higher and higher slides in the top or bottom or higher level, and the complexity actually starts increasing order. However, if you to look at the two arrows, it's very interesting that in living beings, the universality of the system, that is how the prokaryote, eukaryote and any other complex system working, is actually the similarity is seen from the bottom to the top. However, the uniqueness or specificity of organism increases from top to bottom. And the balance between these two are what makes the complex system of science in living systems. Every point I will discuss about the lowest slab, and lowest level is nothing but organization. So these are the topics of our discourse today, like all the omics, genomics, transcriptomics, proteomics, metabolomics, all these comes. So this is the level of molecular level. Many understanding and very much deep understanding has been developed for last long time back. You know, this subject of biology and chemistry joined together, we understood almost every molecule which takes part at this level. They do interact among themselves also. However, second level of understanding only starts when you connect them by functional link. Sometimes the functional links are regulatory, sometimes they are structurally, and they are sometimes connected by reactions or metabolic pathway. So the second level expresses these informations to go ahead. Now, third level of knowledge and fourth level of knowledge comes from the connectivity or interconnectivity like a modules. So this is also interesting that life complexity emerges from this module behavior, and at one can biologically one can frame it that the third level contains the tissue or functioning of a one module, something like we can call what normally is called as a functional module is a living cell. Then it goes to the better architecture, which is the topmost, which makes basically nested between them. Sometimes they generate a complicated scale-free networks also, and most often the top pyramid block represent as a hierarchical architecture. But that is what makes the proper structures ready. This is important to note here from this slide is that integration of every type of interactions perform always and occurs always in various levels. So it's not that only one level or two level. And because of this, every property which emerges from one level to another level is because of this interaction, sometimes regulatory, sometimes structural, sometimes topological, several different kinds. However, one thing we must remember, this type of network similarity has been seen in some other network which is not a natural but which is something like social network, which is many of you are very familiar with. However, when we go for next and next, we will see even World Wide Web has a different kind of this kind of network architecture. So we will actually go through this kind of things, how the cell, a living cell, needs this kind of architecture. Nonetheless, one must understand that this is the view what when we build the whole life system or living system, we build this kind of architecture, we give a kind of a technological concept, an engineering concept, so that we can modify and understand them very well. What we see here is the most interesting point, and students would be surprised that what is life is why it is asked today. However, this is very interesting that one of the most famous biochemist and biologist, Daniel Koshland, in 2002 wrote a nice article about it. And I request all of you to go through this in detail. I try to give you a flavor of it. He looked at, by his own knowledge gained towards the life system as if it is a computer program. And what he decided to go through is, there are 7 major pillars of this program. Hence, the first one, what he said is, living being actually has lot of ingredient in them, and their kinetics of interactions makes that particular system to persist over the times, and they are like a program. So in Earth, every living organism has implemented their program at the level of DNA, which encodes the genes and it regulates and it goes on. Not only this program is happened in one life cycle, it goes through many life cycles. So generation after generation, this program is following up. He also said, simple program cannot make so complex system. Hence, it must have an opportunity of improvisation. And this improvisation is because there would be a warm age or ice age and different kind of survival situation. So only if you have a little changes to achieve this process, then they can survive the program. And this achievement can be only done by mutation and evolution. And these things are very slow. And so this is important that to survive itself in different systems, it should go through improvisation. Next pillar is something like compartment, which is every living being has a limited volume to anything because every cell and the tissues are conformed. They have a shape ultimately to take. Hence, every work has to be done by a small compartment, and This compartment is in our language or at molecular level, you can say the cell membrane, but in tissue level, you can say the skins, and like that ingredients. So it must be working as a module based. That's one compartment should do some specific work. However, he came out with that this has to be interactive or open system. The reason is it needs to involve many systems and it has to interact with outside and inside of the cell to keep it. Now, because everything involves, it has a many chemical component which forms together and does live in its equilibrium, it should be exchanging something, and that exchange, like example, is very simple example is like carbon dioxide. You cell takes carbon dioxide, consume it in photosynthesis and produce oxygen. Now this kind of system or reverse of the system always can happen only the living system if that has open system. This is the thermodynamic need of the system. However, next question is, when the chemical reaction happen, any thermodynamic system, we know by rules of thermodynamics that something will be lost, and that is actually the heat loss. And this loss has to be regained by certain ways, and that's why the cell has to implement or survive itself by diffusion and active transport, by bringing things inside and throwing out outside. And that is also called regeneration. And this happens very small time scale. However, adaptation is very important for cell. Improvisation may have a form of adaptability. However, that is very slow. But on the other hand, if you look at very simple generic way of looking at our adaptability, if I put my finger in fire, I will get pain. Immediately I remove my finger. This kind of shortest adaptability is being imprinted in the program so that this program can adapt as accordingly it faces the environment. And this is very important. All across the level I described earlier, this is always follow through. Last but not the least important is seclusion. Every reaction, the cell has a program, hence cell will follow physicochemical reactions, and every reaction needs to be very exclusive. Hence, this is like a private world of cell. Not only cell, it follows through everywhere. Now, everything on crucially has to do very specific. More and more we go for next and next, we will be able to see the differences. I show here how the function, the most important thing of the cellular functions and its emergent property is correlated with its modularity. I show you a nice picture of Byzantine, very old civilization where people of different class of working forces, they used to wear different kind of dresses. And this is specified by the picture here. They had almost same motif repeated in a different way. So here is a very interesting thing. Small molecular motifs or small active or functional motifs repeated in a different way does different functions. This is a characteristic you would have remembered when I spoke about protein modules, or I talk about inhibitor structures, or we talk about sequence repetitions. And this is very effective in case of cellular function. So what we come to know now is cellular functions are carried out by modular, and this becomes very easy because general principle which governs the structure and behavior of this module is nothing but evolutionary constraints, and every interaction is changed their module accordingly depending on how the environment is and how much diverse genomic information contained in the system. However, this is where the emergence property comes out. Like how? I will give you few examples listed in the bottom, and they are phage replication in bacteria. I will follow through the next slide detail about it. Also, like modular concept is very well understood and followed through by metabolic pathway interactions, which is will go through full module on it. But I will just tell you like chemotaxis, how the cell moves, how the smallest unit of cell moves. And that is how it does is by small few combination or complex molecules. That means combination of molecules, and it starts following through its information from outside to inside. And most interestingly, it's a diverse. That is one of the way, if it likes to be, or attractant molecule is put it outside, it will like to be moving towards that direction. So the motor goes in one direction. Another way, by compelled by its away from going, is by repellent compounds, bacteria starts moving away from it. Both of these done by the same process called chemotaxis. Also, you will be very familiar in next after a few lines how the genome organization, also diversification are done with the genome organization. This is a decision making module, and I would like to take you to the smallest creature called bacteriophage. Basically, bacteriophage lambda has been detailed worked by Mark Paschen et al., and many references are given. You just need to read this fantastic concept came out from doing the experiment. As you see, there are two types of bacteria are large. Inside the bacteria, there are small lambda bacteriophage. Some of them are green and some of them are yellow. So what it shows? It shows those which are greens, they actually are already in lytic stage. What is lytic stage? Many of them are replicated and producing thousands or hundreds of progeny and almost about to break open the E. coli and come out of it. However, the ones which are hiding, small yellow ones, they are not exactly like the green ones. They are in lysogenic state, what we call. And this lysogenic state is, it integrates with the bacterial chromosome, and the production of these singles, some few proteins it produces, and what it does is physiology of the host cell, and it starts modifying. And this is a very interesting. If we isolate this kind of mutants, which is lytic and lysogenic, that seems to be understanding of that there might be a switch, maybe one, maybe some other switch between lysis and lysogeny. And this is a very important thing to understand, because how such a small bacteriophage lambda, very small size of, particle almost, which is non-living when it goes outside the host, that is outside the E. coli bacteria. However, when it enters, it has a power to overcome whether it goes to lytic or lysogeny. This is interesting. Actually, it has been elaborated and done a lot of experiments and come out with a Mark Paschen's group that there are not one, there are many regulatory protein with the DNA binding, and they manipulate the bacterial system in such a way it is decided how much will become a lytic and how many will go to the lysogenic. This kind of studies have been done even theoretically and done behavioral or electronic circuits systems. I would like you to highlight here that this kind of decision making is a living cells or living systems behavioral pattern. Here I would just repeat some of my earlier shown slides. That is, there are a set of understanding, and those are basic principles in system like bioinformatics or computational biologists learn. That is how we build using certain systems a model and try to predict, not a, maybe many models and predict. Now the bottom four, that is structure prediction, simulation, predicting QSR or inhibitor property or chemical interactions between the proteins and proteins, those have been given in previous modules. However, the first four we will handle in this and few more modules. What is the purpose? The purpose, major purpose is identify the diagnose the disease and how to containment them. One of the most leading topics would be to look into genomics, which is one of the major research work in going on, and most often very common person's view it has been understood. What is genomics? And omics starts with the genomics because this is the information contained in a cell. Basically, genomics and this mix are contained as lots of the same system. And that is why many genes which are available in one species genome is called genomics. How we understand this genomics, how we understand the organization of these genes, and how much we can understand our effect like disease or stress under environmental adaptation. So those are the factors what I would like to discuss with you. But most importantly, how I know about the genomics, basically what it contains. The first thing was done is DNA sequencing. As the genome contains nothing but DNA, hence we require to sequence this DNA. This is like DNA happen to be having only 4 bases. Earlier studies you have known about biotechnology that these are adenine, guanine, cytosine and thymine. Most oftenly, how to identify this, what are the sequential appearance of this is the most important part of genomic organization. So when this rapid DNA sequencing came out, then we could actually understand. What is the first one? The most earliest one was actually 1970. Frederick Sanger basically developed a DNA sequencing method and was also supported at the same time at Harvard by Gilbert and Maxim. And both of them use 2 different techniques. Actually, one uses chain determining inhibitors, that is how I can find out the last end part of DNA and initial part of DNA. Also, they use a chemical degradation technique to find whether the sequentially there is a or a T or G or C, which fetch them Nobel Prize by Sanger. First sequencing by this kind of sequencing, not automated but done by chemically and by laboratory, was done in 1977, and bacteriophage 5X174, which is a pretty small DNA. However, demand came up that we should be having an automated system. Leroy Hood's laboratory at Caltech and Smith, they announced first automated or semi-automated in 1986. So it took almost 10 years to develop this technology. And later the Applied Biosystem and made it more or less fully automatized around the same time and made it working. And US NIH funded many projects to start sequencing E. coli, Mycoplasma capriculum, which is smallest one size the bacteria or eubacterial or archaeal systems. Then came up C. elegans and then the yeast, that is Sarcomonas cerevisiae. At present, or this kind of techniques, when it is done in late 90s, I would say early 90s and mid 90s, per base pair was only 75 cents. However, today's technology has circumvented this fastest, quickest and much cheaper genome sequencing by introduction of something called next-gen sequencing. I would not address anything of it, but my favorite one to learn about it is shown here as a website. What is the human systems? If we know the genome, so what? Question is, chromosomal mapping gave us the genetic linkage map, which is shown in this slide. But once we know which are the genetic linkage, actually a scientist, geneticist can identify which are the correlated and expressed can be in the futuristic way. However, in between non-coding DNA and linker for connecting each others, there are a huge chunk of DNA. In prokaryotes, they are less. However, in eukaryote, there are huge. Hence, what I have shown here is the basic principle how one finds them. It is a linearly, and you would see these pictures repeatedly when I discuss more about in-between organizations. Now, overlapping of DNA by using certain restriction enzyme cut is shown in the middle. And from that, one actually identifies which peaks are most predominant and takes that sequence as the particular position and sequences. This is in principle. All the methods have been really been changed enormously to do much better calculations and done much better way to understand faster way of understanding the genomics. Here I would like you to go through this Human Genome Project. The picture shows taken from the NCBI, NLM, NIH actually, and what it shows you the human project, how it has been evolved. Many systems, how each years this has been. I request you to have an actual look of it. This is an extracted pictures from the website. However, it's very obvious starting point is this. We require to do lot more because filling up gaps is very difficulties. Maybe we should use more data and understand that. Then a lot of bioinformatics information can be extracted and build model out of that. Then we should be compare human genome, human gene, and every other associations in the planet, like fish, dog, cow, and buffaloes, etc. And we should be able to compare these eukaryotic systems. Moreover, we should use something technology called chip technology, which has developed in aid to have a microarray. So one of those is chip technology is a chromosomal immunoprecipitation technology, and along with microarray, we should adapt to enrich the Human Genome Project to identify disease and connectivity with gene. Here I show you, if you take a human chromosome, all of them, and try to find what are the genes or what are the part of DNA in this chromosome are very much similar or homologous rather to the mouse genome, which is shown in the bottom, you will see this wonderful jigsaw puzzle. So what we are looking at is that these are basically shows you how genome organizations take care of diversity of systems or species. So to learn from this understanding is very important, that we should be able to find out the similarity or homologous sections, how they organize, where they organize in the chromosome. So that most important challenge is to use this chromosomal similarity. One is gene linkage map, and map it over or try to find out how they are in the system when you look at genome sequence homologous between the species. However, it's not a very unknown thing, because even if it is available in mouse and man, even parasites do show that. Here I show you two different genomes of parasites. One is Trypanosoma brucei, another is Leishmania major. They convey different kind of disease. They are the vectors of different kind of disease. They have different vectors. Also, one takes the fly, another carries over by mosquito. So they have different vectors, but they attack the human beings. So their host is human beings, however their vectors are different and their number of chromosomes are different, as well as shuffling of genes are different or organizations are different. So this is one aspect of understanding genome, is how they are organized. Many such features I can take care for many such features, how to identify the difference between an exon and intron in eukaryotic system, how to identify how the similar genes are occurring in a cluster. Plenty of those type of techniques which uses the similarity, homologous system, etc. However, I will address one particular issue, and I have borrowed with acknowledgement from Dr. Shobha Ranganathan's slides on alternative splicing. And this has a relation with also the human disease. This shows, and the question actually arises because if you look at the C. elegans, which is rather a different species in eukaryote systems, has 19,000 genes, whereas Drosophila has 14,000 genes, even less than the C. elegans. Similarly, when you look at human, it is hardly having little more than that, like 22,000 or 24,000. How then such a complex system, which is physiologically look totally different, environmentally very different, and even their what we call is the third level, if you remember, the third level of organizations are different, which actually evolve their phenome or evolve them to look differently, act differently. How this is achieved? This raised the question of, is it the limited number of genes can do so many biological complex? Yes. How the answer came in is called alternative splicing. There are other ways also, that is, can be enhanced regulation of genes, that is, some genes are expressed more than others, etc. Or there can be some post-translational modification, that is, after the transcription comes out and then the protein comes out, there are systems to modify them. However, alternative splicing is the best way of nature to handle smaller sort of number of information and make a combinatorial explosion. And that is a wonderful idea. Here I show you in next slide. This is a linear view of genome, and you can look at the top. This is a simple organization of exon and intron. Exons are what is going to be transcribed into mRNA, and then it will be translated into protein. How this happens is, you have a genomic control on the left hand side, and you then follow the interactions. However, I will show you full exons are not translated or transcripted rather just at one go. Basically, the coding sequences are only at certain points shown by red color. And how they can be commuted, say exon X2, X3, 3 exons can actually shuffle themselves. And that's called alternative splicing, to make many isoforms, many combinations. Pictorially, a splicing is defined in this picture. So what it is that the part which is intron would be removed, and the connectivity between red and blue, which is the red color and blue color depicts the exons, should be joined. So by removal of this is called splicing. This is spliceomers, one of the standard method by which the gene splicing is done. So how introns are removed from. This is one. However, you must remember, if this is the splicing, it's not done just by removal. There are not only a removal set of, which is shown in next slide, and that is many members for these splicing activities. And as you see, there are proteins, there are transcription factors, there are regulators, there are controls, etc., etc. And more detail is available, Maniaci et al. In 2002. Next slide shows you how we can formulate, or one can generate from the same genome or from the same gene many proteins. Like here, I show you one. If you add up the exon 1, exon 2 and exon 3, you get one variant. However, you can as well remove exon 1 and join with exon 3, and without exon 2, you can get another variant. So basically, you got two mRNA, partly having the red color exons existing, but partly having only blue color or green and blue. So this gives you how splicing can generate from one gene many protein and challenging the central dogma. So, as you have seen, that this concept of the splicing gave us a amount of knowledge of how these transcripts or combination of transcripts can be produced and how the non-coding will be removed. And this is a highly regulated process, as we shown. Several different kind of promoters and transcription factors are working on it. And this plot shows you many ideas came out around 2000 and 2001 onwards, where you can see diseases, even cancers, even mental disorders, different kind of disorders are associated with this alternative splicing. What I mean is, if by mistake any other intron shuffling happens, that exon become differently linked each other, a protein comes out which may not be functional or maybe wrongly functional. However, this particular concept challenged that one gene, one protein dogma. And that you must remember is the thanks to this experimental alternative splicing which challenged this dogma. So basically we can have one gene can make many proteins. So to study each of these combinations, it's a really hectic work to collect all of the exon intron structure, build all of them, synthesize the genes, and then understand. Instead of that, actually use of bioinformatics tools helped them. So I will spend few slides after this talking about what are the tools and how they find certain things associated with this large chunk of gene sequence and find their availability in the computer sites. I discuss a few bottom given the references. I here discuss with you what it does. Actually what we require first to identify this coding and non-coding region so that we know the introns and exons. In between there might be some space. Then try to align different mRNA available to their genomic sequence, and to do this you always land up having a software which can do it all across the genome. It's a huge chunk of gene which you are going to look at. I have listed only 4 of them, which because I have taken example only few. However, I have tried to show you how one can first standardize the software and how you use that for your finding out what you like to look for. And the software MG-Align and its one called Light is also available by Ranganathan's place. SIM4 and Spidey is other ones which are actually found out much earlier. However, Lagan and Multi-Lagan is the one which is the most predominantly used. What we can do with it, most relevant question. This I want to take one example, one very interesting example which has unfolded huge amount of research in blood. Many cases, this blood transfusion is a major problem in heavy systems. And this is been handled by this genome scale finding blood transcription factors. And what are the novel mechanism, how under different conditions these blood transcription factors works has been studied, which is shown in the 2014 publication in Molecular Biosystem. The performance management. I think it is important for all bioinformaticians and the computational biologists to know about it. It is the performance of the software must be looked into because this is a huge chunk of genome we are comparing with a very small part or portion of gene. Here on the left hand side, a plot taken from Dr. Shova's slides and shows how they work, and the SIM4 seems to be having a very fast performance over large sequences. So majority cases, smaller sequence of genomes can be run much far lower, very quick. However, when it comes, it becomes dampens the CPU. So here we show. However, present scenarios, most of the people uses Lagan, which is referred very well, and you can look into the recent publication came out with the Lagan's. I would just address these issues, that is, how and what is known. Due to this, many diseases which are caused by this alternative splicing is listed here, which shows you majority of these diseases actually are related to myotonic dystrophy. And you can very well see they are related to skeletal muscle. Hence, it's very, very difficult if the wrong splicing happens. Here I show you some of these aberrant splicing, and one of them is survival of motor neuron 1 genes, and that cause muscular dystrophy, which is very well known disease and you all are aware of this disease. But how to elevate that, techniques have come out with different kind of suppressor siRNA treatment or some other treatment, because understanding of these dystrophies connected disease with the alternative splicing was revealed pretty recently. how the disease and aberrations are to be handled. In genome organization, as we have shown, whether it is an infectious disease or parasitic disease or it is a metabolic syndromes, there are a physiology. So clinical syndromes are basically related the aberration in physiology. Normal medical treatment or therapeutic treatment are something like arbitrarily designed chemicals done, and they just clean up either the microbes or they try to restore. However, mechanism behind the disease yet not known well. Hence, now is the era where this can be addressed properly, and so I must make comment on such a issue that recent up to now we are following some kind of easily can be done, like synthesize some chemical, find it inhibition just to recover the disease. However, I hope future drug designing, future medical treatment would based on what is required to be done, and that is the hope of next generations. So, according to central dogma in biology, we actually have elaborated every techniques which is shown in this picture, and please read the article which discusses much details and where this data availability, experiments as well as the bioinformatics databases. And this slide shows you that very complex network like which is shown in the bottom, how to analyze with respect to each step wise at genomic level, transcriptomics and proteomics level, and how to find the active site and inhibit or design compounds to interrupt that level. Now I come to the summary. So what I try to say that this is an introduction, but it gives you the systems approach to an understanding of the cellular system. Hence, we also have notified or informed you many diverse function can come from the fixed genome size. Also, it is important very much to understand the genome organization, because that leads the alternative splicing like case and associate with many other disease just because of alternative splicing. So it is not just interrupting a protein or its function, it becomes a pathway, an alternative splicing. So different modus operandi is necessary to address the disease or aberration, and for that matter omics can give you many approach or many integrated, and if you analyze you get a holistic approach, not a reductionist approach. Thank you.